Hello everybody, John here from the Hammer 56, and it has been a long time since I've done a video, but you can consider this my coming out of retirement video, sort of. I don't think I'm going to be super active on here, but I will be doing videos again because I kind of miss it and it was really fun back in the day. So, what brought me out of retirement? This right here, and it's gonna be really hard to read this but what this is the latest album from Rain Architect, The Killer at Monsoon Bay. Now, if you don't know what Rain Architect is, it is the musical project of a fellow YouTuber who doesn't really do YouTube anymore as well, Jason, formerly from the channel Beyond the Realms. I've been good friends with Jason for a very long time on here. Got to hang out with him just recently at Horror Hound Weekend. He's a great guy, really good friend, always been super supportive of me. He, just this year, well, not just this year, he was dabbling in music for a while, but this year in particular, really got serious about it and dropped his first album, under the Rain Architect banner, called Progression of Conscience, which was a really good electronic, it was kind of spacey, ambient, really fun music. And he dropped that in July, and now October 6th, so this is an exclusive, because just today, September 22nd, he dropped the first single from this album. And I'm saying too much, but I do that. I have a podcast where I say too much too. We'll plug that at the end. This is about this. But he's dropping this October 6th, and if you have Bandcamp and SoundCloud, you can get the album for free. And you can also stream it on things like Spotify and iTunes Music, of course. But October 6th, for free, The Killer at Monsoon Bay, which for some reason I want to say Moonsoon. That's because I'm an idiot, but whatever. So, the first album, like I said, was very spacey, very traditional electronic, ambient, really cool. You can groove to it. And what this album is a concept album of a score for a 80s slasher. An 80s slasher that doesn't exist. Ignore all these noises. It's gonna happen. If you were here from the beginning with this channel, you know that this is common. Anyways, it's a score for an 80s slasher that doesn't exist. And immediately I was interested into this because I'm a fan of scores. And I have to say that Jason did a fantastic job of putting this together, because there's a lot of things that you got to hit on. You can't just put a bunch of songs together and be like, oh, it's a score for a movie. It has to have it has to make sense in its progression. For instance, we start with the main theme. You can immediately get like opening credits in your head. The whole thing that makes a score work is if it matches the imagery. So when you don't have imagery to match it with, you have to create visuals in the listener's head, and this album is very successful at that. It put me in the mind of, even though musically they're completely different, Spindrift's The Legend of God's Gun, where when I first listened to that album, I felt like I watched the movie, and this one does the same as well. As the tracks go, it builds and builds in its tension until you get to the final track, which is the final face-off. And through music alone, I felt like I experienced the movie, which is probably the highest compliment I can give this album as a whole. And when we start breaking it down into tracks, like for instance, Vacation of 85 is a really fun track. The Jim and Laura's theme, or Laura Lee's theme, I'm a terrible pronouncer, I'm sorry Jason, is a fun, kind of like getting to know the characters. And then we get down to like Suspicious Sounds, which is a little creepier, a little eerier, starting to build a lot of tension. On the Run is really a driving, drum, I don't know how I want to say it, drum-driven soundtrack. Leading up to probably my favorite track on the album, Killer Final Girl Showdown, which is almost has an industrial feel to it, a lot of like, like building that tension and building that tension until the final track, which I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like you could actually spoil this album by going too in depth into the songs. The final song kind of gives you this lull and then a rise again. It's just a success. To me, it's a success on all ends. On one hand, it's a success in that it works as a soundtrack. Everything makes sense in its placement. Everything makes sense in its progression. But it also works as just music. You can pick one of these songs out and listen to it as a song and enjoy it musically. Which, there's certain scores in movies that work as a score, but when it comes to just listening to it, maybe it's not your first pick. But this is a good album to just throw on. Like, if you're having a Halloween party, y'all can groove to this for sure, And that's important as well, because at the end of the day, Rain Architect, it is a musical project. So it has to have success as just, good, easy, fun listening music. Well, not fun, it can be challenging as well. So yeah, it works on all fronts. It builds in tension. It works as just good music. I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I'm trying to think of other things to say about it. Probably should have thought about that in my head a little bit more. I feel like I did, but then when the camera comes on, maybe I could spotlight some of my favorite albums. Of course, as of today, September 22nd, which is when I'm dropping this video, he dropped the first single from the album, which is the main theme. It's a very good song, really cool electronic driving synth. So you can go check that out now on all platforms of music. That's a great track. Vacation of 85 is super fun. The Chilling History of Monsoon Bay is a really eerie, creepy, droning kind of song. Suspicious Sounds, again, kind of the same thing. Stalker in the Woods starts to build upon that fear. On the Run gets to be driving. The Kill Revealed is kind of this crescendo. And then, like I said, my favorite track on the song is Killer Final Girl Showdown, because I'm a huge fan of industrial metal. And this has a real, almost like Tetsuya the Iron Man feel to it. Like I said, it has those sounds to it, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and it gets kind of chaotic, and Oh, another thing I guess I should talk about with this is Jason. With these two albums, what makes it different than his past projects is he's bought better equipment, and he's working with a mixer now. And this album is very well mixed, as is his first one. Everything flows together real well. There's no weird, like sometimes if an album's badly mixed, something can be too loud, too low, and it just kind of creates like an awkward sounding song. None of that on this at all. Very well mixed, very well put together. I love the structure of this album too, because the placement of all the songs makes perfect sense and flows real well one track to the other. It just steps up, and like I said, it really did remind me of Legend of God's Gun, in the fact that once it was over, I felt like I had watched the movie. I felt like I had enough information just from music, no words. Even though Legend of God's Gun actually does have a couple actual songs in it. But without words, I felt like I knew the plot of the movie. I felt like I experienced the slasher. And this is very heavily influenced by the synth scores of the 80s slasher, but I also feel like there's a lot of Italian in it as well. A lot of giallo influences, very similar to Fabio Frissi or Goblin. So yes, I guess I'm going to quit rambling. I'm about 10 minutes in. I hope this review was good. I'm rusty. But basically, hopefully what I got across in this review was October 6th. Go pick this up on Bandcamp, on Spotify, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. It will be free on Bandcamp, free to download, which you can also donate, which I would recommend because you should support independent artists. You don't have to donate a lot, just, you know, that's the cool thing about Bandcamp. You can download this stuff for free, but you can also give some money, which, like I said, it's up to you. Jason didn't ask me to say anything about donations or anything like that, but I'm a big believer in supporting art, supporting independent art, and the most independent art that is worth supporting, and this is worth supporting. Rain Architect is worth supporting. Killer at Monsoon Bay, like I said, I keep on calling it Monsoon, so hopefully I didn't. October 6th, worth your time. And also go pick up his first album as well, Progression of Conscience. It's very good as well, completely different. A little more upbeat, a little more groovy, I would say, a little more spacey. But yeah, go pick up both Rain Architect albums. They're both worth your time, especially if you're into electronic music. And if you're not into electronic music, I still think you can get into it if you're a fan of movies. Because I think a lot of people would be into synth music. They just don't know it because they didn't give it a chance outside of movies. But a lot of times it's the same thing. So yeah, again, big thank you to Jason for sending this to me, for letting me preview it before it comes out. So thank you to that, and this review is by no means biased, so because I'm friends with Jason, I would give my honest opinion on it. If I didn't like it, I would say, and I liked it. Liked it a lot. Rain Architect, Killer at Monsoon Bay, October 6th. Gotta keep saying it, go pick it up. Thank you all for watching. I will be doing more videos in the future, hopefully. Hopefully this isn't the end again, which I can't guarantee because I'm terrible at keeping up with stuff. However, one thing that I'm terrible at keeping up with, but I do a very good job of it, is my podcast, Sick on Cinema. If you would like to go check that out, if you're into disturbing, weird, gross, weird movies, that's what we cover. You can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Just look for Sick on Cinema. We do not have a website just yet. Our next episode is documentaries, so hopefully you go check that out. Rain Architect, John, goodbye.